Hello and welcome back to my FBL channel. I of course am the FBL Train, and in this video what I've got here is something completely different to what I've been doing. Obviously most of the drafts I'm doing are focused on just my team. What I've got here is a differential draft. Now this isn't me saying this is the whole team I think you should go for. It's completely different to everybody else. This is the team that's going to win it. No. This is if, let's say you've got 9 players that you're confident with, but there's a few players you want a bit different. These are the players that I'll definitely recommend. I think they're going to do really well this season. Just nobody's interested in getting them really that much at the moment. So yeah, they are going to score highly, I reckon, this season. But people are just focused, more or less, let's face it, on like the top sides. So there are a couple, well, 1 or 2 maybe from the top teams. But the rest of them are definitely lower down in the league. So people aren't that focused. But I do think they're going to do well this season. So starting us off then, we'll talk about the 2 goalkeepers that I've picked here. Now, first one up is Leno of Fulham. Now, a lot of people are looking at Fulham players this season, and I can see why, because I'm doing it myself. And a lot of the targets are, of course, Smith Rowe, Pereira, Robertson, maybe another defender, and of course striker Muniz. Those are the guys that people are after in terms of Fulham assets. But I think if you're looking at a Fulham defender, why not go for the Fulham goalkeeper in Leno? The guy's 5 million, which is a decent price. He's scored, what, 130 something points, 133 points it was last season, which that is pretty good going. And it turns out it was the 3rd highest amount of points for the season. He was joint 3rd in Onana and just 2 points behind Raya in 2nd. So that is a pretty decent pick considering nobody's really looking at him. He's only 3% owned currently right now. And like I've said before in the other videos, Fulham have got a good start to the season. The Man United game could go either way, but after that, you're looking at Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham after. That is a good start for Fulham. So, somebody's gone under the radar, I think, would be decent in your team. And the backup keeper I've got on here is Nick Pope of Newcastle. Somebody who I've put in one of my drafts or taken him out recently, but still, I would definitely recommend having him in your team. He's less than 6% owned currently right now. Same price as well as Leno. He's obviously got a great start to the season, the first 2 fixtures with Southampton and Bournemouth. Obviously now Bournemouth don't have Solanke. They're a little bit weaker in terms of attack, you'd think. Yes, obviously Spurs are going to be difficult, and obviously Man City in game week 6 is going to be difficult. But Nick Pope is a quality goalkeeper. We've seen it before. He was injured most of the last season, which is why Newcastle kept conceding the odd goal here and there. But he's back, he's fit, and I think he'll do really well, and he'll definitely improve that Newcastle defence. So those are definitely 2 goalkeepers I definitely think are worth looking at going forward. Now, these are the 5 defenders I've picked then. So I've gone for Ruben Diaz of Man City. So this guy's playing for the best team in the league right now, 5.5 million. It is a bit pricey than most. Now, it was between him and John Stones that I was, debating about picking. So if you wanted to go for John Stones, yeah, get that. But these 2 are obviously more than likely going to be starting for Man City, Diaz and Stones. But I've got Diaz here. Now, his fixtures at the start of the season are amazing. Obviously, Chelsea, I think they'll beat Chelsea comfortably. Then Ipswich, West Ham and Brentford. That is a great start to the season. They got a couple of difficulties in 5 and 6. But again, they then go on a good run after that. Diaz is going to start for Man City. I think maybe the price of being 5.5 is putting people off. But most of, if not, I think all of Arsenal's defenders are like 6 million. So do I think Man City are going to have a better defence than I did last season? I do, because obviously they kept conceding the odd goal Man City did last season. It was very frustrating. So he's 0.5 cheaper than the likes of Gabriel and Saliba. Obviously, people going about Gabriel's, attacking threat, but I'm not so confident either in who's going to start for Arsenal, because you remember the start of last season, he had Timber available. He would have started probably Timber. So Ben White, would he start? I'm not so sure. And then you never know, you might put Ben White in the middle with Saliba. I don't know. And then drop Gabriel like he was thinking about doing at the start of last season. So I think Ruben Diaz will be a very good shout. And he's only 3.3% owned. Alongside him is Tarkowski. Now, he's less than 2% owned currently right now. And I reckon this is just purely based on the fact that his price is now 5 million. If he was 4.5, I do think he would be a lot more highly owned. I mean, the fixtures for Everton at the start of the season, they're pretty good to be fair. Apart from Spurs in game week 2, Villa in game week 4, and then you're looking at probably Newcastle in game week 7, That takes you right up to game. And Man United in 13, you've got a good run right up to 14. So what? 4 fixtures in 14 games. That is really good going, really. And Sean Dyche is good. He's known for his defensive nonsense. So I think Tarkowski would be a decent shout, and he's never afraid to, get the ball, obviously score an header. I mean, he doesn't exactly score many goals or assists. He probably averages like a goal a season or something like that. But, he'd probably get, those clean sheet points in for you. Another defender on here is James Justin of Leicester City. Now, James Justin is a quality wing back. His only issue is obviously injuries. He gets injured, and when he gets injured, it's not for a short time, it is a long time. But when he's fit, he is a quality wing back. He's not over 1% owned right now. He's 4.5 million, which is a bargain. Now, obviously, he plays for Leicester, so they've just come up from the Championship, so people are probably ignoring him for that. And it isn't exactly an easy fixture against Spurs' first game, but I think they can do alright against Fulham and Crystal Palace. The only issue is those 2 games are away from home, and the Spurs and Villa games are the first 2 home fixtures for them. But, after that, I think if you get to game week 5 still with them, and they've done alright the first 4 game weeks, Leicester, you're laughing because you've got the likes of Everton, Bournemouth, Southampton, Forest and Ipswich to come. So, he's definitely somebody to look at. If he starts and he gets off to, how usually he plays, I think he's definitely worth going for. And the fact that he's not even 1% owned is insane. So I definitely recommend James Justin. I've got Udogie in here just because I feel like you should probably have a Spurs defender, and everybody's going for obviously Pedro Porro, like myself, for example. But if you don't fancy going for Pedro Porro, you want to go a little bit different. At 4.4% currently owned, Udogie is not a bad shout at all. He was quality, absolutely quality last season. Got 2 goals, 3 assists. He's only 5 million, so he's actually 0.5 million cheaper than Pedro Porro as well. Definitely worth looking at, especially in the first 2 fixtures of Leicester and Everton. I think he's definitely worth looking at. And then the final player I've got on here is Fabian Schär. Now, he's currently got a 75% chance of playing on here with an ankle sprain. But if you remember last season, I'm pretty sure it came up with Schär like flagged up every weekend. Oh, he might not play. But he played. He played majority of the games for Newcastle United. He's 5.5 million, so he is probably a little bit more expensive, which might explain why he's only currently 6.1% owned. But the guy scores goals. As a centre half, it's worth having. He got 4 goals last season and scored, got 3 assists as well. 7 returns for a defender. That is really good going. So there's a reason why he's 5.5 million. And like I've said before, the first 2 fixtures for Newcastle, Southampton at home, great fixture. To go away to Bournemouth for Aslanki, great fixture, as well as defensively as well. So Schär absolutely killed last season, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't kill it again this season. It looks like they might bolster their defence as well this season, Newcastle, and they were really unlucky last season with injuries. So they can only surely get better than they were last season. So I definitely think he's worth having in your team. On to my 5 midfielders now. And first up in here, I've got Mbeumo of Brentford. Not many people are really, at all, to be honest, talking about him, which is quite surprising, really, because he had a cracking season last season. And to be fair, the season before that was even better. Now, he had that serious injury and he was out for quite a bit last season, so he only played 22 games for Brentford. But the season before that, he scored 9 goals. So 9 goals last season, 9 goals the season before, and he had quite a lot of time off last season. So he's definitely improved. If Ivan Toney does leave, he's going to be the main man yet again. He will definitely be on penalties as well if Toney does leave. So that is something else to take into consideration. He's less than 6% owned, which is kind of crazy, really, considering how good of a season he had last season. Now, it's obvious why not many people are going for him right now. And the fact is, game week 2, they've got Liverpool. 4 is Man City and 5 is Spurs. But you could put, he's 7 million, so he's not like one of your biggest assets. If you put him on the bench, are Liverpool going to be good enough to keep clean sheets? We don't know. Like I said, Man City have been known for it as well. Spurs, we don't know what Spurs, if they're going to continue to play the high line, Brentford could counter on that one, definitely. Especially in Mbeumo with his pace. But I think he's more than capable of scoring against Crystal Palace at home and Southampton in game week 3. So you could start him in game week 1, bench him in 2, bring him back for 3, leave him on the bench for 4 and 5, bring him back for 6 against West Ham, where he's got West Ham, Wolves. I'm confident he'll do well against United. Then he's got the likes of Ipswich, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton and Leicester. So for somebody who's definitely going under the radar, he's quality, he scores goals, he's fast, worth going for, and he's less than 6% owned. Martinelli, now this is somebody I understand why he is 3.6% owned currently right now. He's only 7 million, and the biggest problem for Martinelli was last season, the back end of it, rotation completely. He was out of the side for quite a lot towards the end of the season, really, and Trossard was taking over. Havertz was playing more of a striker role. Will that happen this season? I don't know, to be honest. I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I've not really got much of an idea what is going to happen. But if he does start for Arsenal, you know, Wolves at home first game, I think he could do well there. I mean, they got a tricky start, to be fair, Arsenal, with the likes of Villa, Spurs and Man City in the first 5 games. But Arsenal are a top team going for the league, so I wouldn't be too worried about, you know, that. They will score goals. It's about whether they'll win the game. And that's what it is about with attackers. It doesn't matter if they don't win, so long as they can score. And if Martinelli starts, there's a good chance he can score. Understand why he's only 3.6 million, but he might be worth a gamble to go for. I've got Kevin De Bruyne on here now. A lot of talk about him maybe going to Saudi Arabia. Looks like that's now pretty much been squashed. You never know, though. It could change. He is a premium asset, but, you know, if everyone's going for the same premium assets, either in likes of Salah, Son, I mean, not as much Son, but Salah, Cole Palmer, Saka, those are the 3 really that people are really looking at. They're not looking at Kevin De Bruyne, which obviously is crazy when you think about it. He's 7.2% owned only right now. He only scored 4 goals last season, but, you know, he played 15 times last season, right? 15 times. He scored 4 goals, which doesn't sound great, but he got 10 assists. That's 14 returns in 15 games. That's nearly a return a game. That is insane, and that has definitely gone under the radar. And Man City's fixtures are great at the start of the season. Obviously, Alvarez has left Man City now, so the chances of De Bruyne coming off early are probably a bit less, if I'm being honest. I think he'll play more games at the start of the season. I mean, he's had a bit of a break, to be fair. Belgium obviously got knocked out of the Euros quite early, which was surprising. But yeah, he's so cheap, and you never know. He could absolutely smash it like he usually does at the start of the season. Now, Morgan Rogers on here. I mean, quite a few people have actually spoke about him at the start of the season, which I kind of understand why. He had a great end for the last season after joining in January for Aston Villa. He's 8% owned currently right now, which you could say is quite high for just a £5 million midfielder. But those of you who aren't looking at him, you know, if he starts for, you know, Aston Villa, I was going to say Arsenal then, because I'm looking at his fixture list. But if he starts for Aston Villa, his run is quality. Aston Villa's run is quality. So, apart from Arsenal game week 2, you've got you've got West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Wolves and Ipswich in the first 6 games. Then you've got United in 7, which is a little tricky, but then you're looking at past that, 8 and 9, Fulham and Bournemouth. You're laughing, mate. You're laughing. If Morgan starts those games, gets off to a quality start at 5 million, you never know. This could be, I mean, I don't think he'll get as many points as Cole Palmer, but I think he could do really well this season. And my final pick on here is Son of Spurs, which might be a surprise, and he is actually the highest owned player here at 10.8%. The reason why I've got him on here is because, you know, Son is an awesome player. I mean, apart from 22-23 seasons where he was a bit disappointing, he's been quality. 17 goals and 10 assists last season, right? And he's only 10.8% currently right now. And his first game is Leicester. Then he's got Everton. I don't see why people aren't looking at him enough. I think you can have him for the first 2 games and then even transfer him out if you really want. So yeah, he's definitely somebody I've got on my eye on personally. I've not got him on my team just yet, but I wish I could find a way of getting him in because start of the season looks quality for him. Obviously, there is the issue of where he's not going to be playing further forward now with Solanke, but still, I think he's going to smash it for Spurs yet again. And so that leaves me with the front 3 then. Starting us off, I've got Muniz. Now, this is a player who I've mentioned in my last draft, my final draft, who is actually in my final draft personally. But I still put him in this team just because, I mean, when it comes to, obviously, strikers, it's a lot harder in terms of how, you know, who to go for. Most people are pretty much going for the same strikers. They're either getting Isak, Haaland, Watkins, and then you're looking at probably, if you've not got all 3 of them, you've got 2 of them, the third one is either going to be Solanke, Pedro, Havertz, or Ivan Toney. So then after that, you could say the rest of them are not very much highly owned. Muniz is just actually behind Tony, but still 7.6% is not really that much. And I mentioned it before in previous videos. Fulham's fixtures are really good. He's a quality striker. I think he'll be worth going for. Dominic Solanke is obviously a massive gamble just because the guy can never, ever, 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 ever stay fit. That is the only issue you can have with Calvert-Lewin. Now, if Calvert-Lewin is fit, though, and he stays fit for a change, the first 14 games for Everton are incredible. Like I've said before, apart from the likes of Spurs, Villa, Newcastle, and United's game week 13, so from 7 to 13, they've got a good run there. Quality fixtures for Everton. They'll get more of the ball. They've got better chances of scoring in these games. So, you never know. Dominic Solanke could go back to that 2021 season where he scored 16 goals. So if he does that, it'll be quality. I mean, he did score 7 goals last season, which is probably gone under the radar, really, because he only played 26 games. So that's nearly, it's not too bad, put it that way. Better than I anticipated. It'll be on penalties as well if he's on the pitch. And he's dropped down to 6 million, which is obviously an absolute bargain. So, I mean, the more I'm thinking about, maybe I might even look at possibly going for him. Obviously, I'm looking again at the fixture between him and Muniz. So, yeah, obviously, game weeks 2 and 3 is in favour of Muniz, and that's the only issue. But I could quite easily bring Calvert-Lewin in for game week 5 and then keep him right up to game week 15. So, definitely somebody to look at. And then the final striker, again, somebody who's going under the radar, Iwanye. Now, a lot of people who are looking at possibly going for a Nottingham Forest striker is, Chris Woods. Because obviously, we mentioned it before in my videos, Nottingham Forest have got an incredible start to the season. But more people are looking at going for Chris Woods, who's currently just below 5%, which is not exactly a lot, but only 1.1% of people currently have Iwanye, which is quite incredible, really. Now, I know he only scored 6 goals last season and got 3 assists, but he's injury prone. That, I guess, is the biggest problem. He gets a lot of injuries. So, in the last 2 seasons, he's only played 29 games, which is not good enough, really. He only played 12 last season. But if he stays fit, you never know. A bit like Calvert-Lewin. If he stays fit, and again, this is another player now I'm thinking about possibly bringing my team. If he stays fit, Bournemouth, the problem is as well, I don't know if he'll start. That's another reason. I'm not a Forest fan, so I don't know. But Bournemouth, Southampton, Wolves, then it's Liverpool, tricky. Then you're looking at Brighton, Fulham, Chelsea. Is that tricky in terms of defensively? Probably not. Then you've got Crystal Palace, Leicester, and West Ham first 10 games. What a run that is for them. And I do think if he starts, obviously I understand if people want to go for Chris Woods, but the fact that Iwanye, he's so powerful as well, he's such a quality asset to have. I think he's definitely, if he starts that first game Forest, obviously if any Forest fans actually watch my videos, let me know if you think he's going to start. But what a play he could well be. And again, he's only 6 million as well. So yeah, those are the differential picks I'll definitely recommend. Like I said before, this isn't pick this team outright. There's just, if you fancy going for a different third striker, pick one of these 3. If you fancy going for a different, premium midfielder, go for a De Bruyne. Or if you want to go for a cheaper midfield, or Son should I say as well. If you want a cheap midfield that nobody's really looking at, Rodgers, Martinelli, and Mbeumo, worth going for. If you don't want an Arsenal defender, maybe look at a Man City defender. I know people are going for Guardiola, but a different one perhaps. Tarkowski's got a great run of fixture. The start of fixture, maybe look at him. James Justin, quality wing back. Udogie, if you want to go different, instead of Pedro Porro. And obviously Sharp, unbelievable, attacking defender, centre half. And then the goalkeepers, if you fancy going different there. I mean, I think, if somebody wants to, go for that whole team, see how it goes, let me know. But that I still think is a quality team in itself. But yeah, I wouldn't go for it myself because, you got to have the likes of at least Haaland or Salah in your team. And, there's so many other players I would also have as well. But anyways, let me know what you think of this team. Let me know what you're thinking about doing ahead of Game Week 1. Please don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next one.